Imagine if leadership and development was a uniting factor for people towards a certain achievement. When people set aside their political differences and affront a cause that will benefit everyone.
What does omuntu wa wansi see as development in Entebbe?
Mbuuza meya akyegana, tawuni kiraka akyegana.
Who is the problem now?
Ensonga eno ejja kuggwa.
That is politics.
Era tetulina kyakulya n'ekya tekigenda kubaawo.
Ate ne President Museveni bannanga akyali baby.
Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. as we discuss matters in Entebbe, the first Uganda's colonial capital, and what it deserves.
Entebbe Business Summit. This started as a simple discussion with me in my office, and I'm happy that today we are here participating in this business summit where you have invited business minds, business gurus to rethink and talk about business. When the professor was talking, he was talking about importing things, and I looked at these flowers here. I was wondering whether plastic or, yet we have very many flowers in this country, but that is one of the issues we need to talk about. Those of you who know me, I don't talk much. I always want to have things done so that we move forward. I have always argued, when we were beginning NADS some time back, I used to be very stubborn. I would ask, why do you bring farmers to a hotel to talk about coffee growing? You bring farmers to a hotel to talk about rearing chicken. These farmers don't need knowledge. They need money and they need the market. They will look for the extension services themselves. Not so. Advisory services are sought. You don't look for me and give me advice unless I come to you for advice. Now, I am very happy that the business people are here to talk about how they should reawaken their businesses and look forward. Because most times, people want to ask government, they always want to say, what is government putting in the budget to help us? It's good for government to give support to the business community. But it's also good for the business community to think amongst themselves, to plan, and then ask government how to help them secure the markets, how to help them put security around their business. This helps the environment you are operating in to be free, because you are doing it at your own volition, not the conditions of government. Because I know when we give you support as government, we shall give conditions. So I'm very happy that you are here. When we started the business, the Chamber of Commerce in Entebbe, some people were saying this will not work. But we said, no, we are a peninsula. We are here in our own environment. We can do these things, and I'm happy we are doing it. I congratulate the chairperson and the entire committee upon this. I know there are very many people with ideas. We are going to share these ideas, have them understood so that we are in position to change our attitude and the way we look at the business. But for us as Entebbe, I saw the professor emphasizing many things: physical planning, land acquisition, infrastructure. You know, over time, that infrastructure has become very expensive. Professor knows this. Even the American streets I was seeing there, the American government cannot build those streets now because they are very costly. I think we should have done this some time back. But now that we didn't do it, we are putting our focus on these infrastructure developments. It is now very easy for people to come to Entebbe, I'm sure. Although this is the only town where you pay to come, because you have to to part with 5,000 or 10 to enter here. I'm not lying, you know it. But how much do you save? The 5,000 you pay at the toll and the hours you would spend in Najana and Kumbi trying to access Entebbe. So we are trying to improve on the infrastructure, and I just want to give you a few hints. As we speak now, we agreed as Greater Kampala. Initially, when they started the Capital City Authority, government put a lot of emphasis on Kampala. And you saw many roads being done in Kampala, the networks. But we were telling the government that, you cannot improve connectivity. You cannot improve transport around Kampala if you concentrate only on Kampala. Because many of you would drive, then you start from Chariwajala, you stop somewhere. From Entebbe, you are in Najana Nkumbi. The other side, you are in Atete, you stop there because of the poor network. Under the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Planning Authority, we have set up a big network of roads, which we are going to begin next financial year. We are currently doing designs, and very soon we shall go into procurement. So the infrastructure and transport network the professor was talking about is under implementation. I think this year the Tondeka bus services launched the Entebbe Road. The only challenge we still have is the many taxis on the road. We are still negotiating on the buy-in so that we put them to be part of the Tondeka. Then we shall reduce the congestion on Entebbe Road. Because you are aware, even with the current expressway, because of our living patterns, people live along the roads. So even when we have the expressway, there are still people living along Chisubi and up to Kampala. So the jam is still high. But the network of the bus services which we have launched this year will help us improve. We are going to do a little bit of projects. We want to do the bridge at Nachuogo to cut the congestion of people who are going to the Western Uganda. This is also under study. It is supposed to be an EPC project, but those of you who are familiar with government know that it's not very easy for us now to get a guarantee because of the current economic situation. But this is not stopping us from the designs. If we get any developer who is ready to do a toll road, then we shall have cut off the statistics. Uganda Airlines knows and the other airlines know that not very many tourists come to Uganda more than twice. They always come once and they don't return. Reason? Somebody comes out of Emirates here at 4 p.m., then it takes 3 hours to reach Kampala. Then it takes another 3 hours from Kampala to, if he's going to Queen Elizabeth, he will take another 3 hours on Masaka Road. So when these fellas return, they don't come back. So this road we are trying to do from Nachuogo will save us from the airport to Mpiji. And this will cut the time. But we're also doing other networks around Mukono, Wakiso, Mpiji, and Kampala. So we hope that in the next 5 years, we should be having a proper network around Kampala and Entebbe at large, because we are really focusing on Entebbe, because all the discoveries that you are reading about, the oil by 2024, the gold in Inamayingo and everywhere, the entrance and exit is here. So if we don't plan for Entebbe very well, then those other export and import requirements that are attendant to the discoveries we've gotten lately will not be able to move well unless we plan. Unfortunately, Professor, we have to go beyond Kajansi because this area has a height zone. We cannot build going up because of the airport and because of State House. So we have restrictions on the heights. which we are now going to legalize. We are writing a paper which will culminate into a bill to manage the height zones, because when we stop people from building, we stopped somebody who was building a hotel, and when I went to inspect, I was seeing the salute grounds in State House. I said, please, sir, stop. He said, where is the law? Why do you stop me? So we are now doing the law to control the heights, because security is paramount for all of us. We are rethinking of expanding to Buwaya, and the new city, probably like the president told you, will be covering up to Busi in the islands. So this entire area of Entebbe is still virgin for investment. We have a wild plan of creating a duty-free city. I think this is what the professor was talking about, where people import things here. There's no reason why people should fly from Rwanda, Congo to go to Dubai, because even Dubai is just a duty-free city. There's no industry in Dubai. They just pick these things from China, then we all go to Dubai and buy the same things, then bring them here, including hair. We import hair here. And people buy it and put on their heads. So we are rethinking, we want to do a duty-free city, but that calls for proper planning, because if it's a duty-free city, then we have to restrict the entry and exit. These are all plans that we have for Entebbe. We cannot do them as a municipal authority alone. And that's the very reason that we are partnering with the Chamber of Commerce to do this summit, where the minds come together, think, and guide. We want to say that as Entebbe, we shall continue giving a good environment to the investors to come and do their investment here.
I want to thank, we call her Mama Rhoda, and she knows why. Mama Rhoda might not remember me, but I know her from a different capacity entirely. About 17 years ago, I started playing a game called golf. And Rhoda Tumusime is one of the Ugandan golf icons. She's passionate. I've played with her children. I think I played with her once and she took my money. And that is why I went into banking. But Mama Rhoda and the Chamber, thank you very much for inviting Equity Bank. We are humbled and honored. And before I get into the discussion, because I wasn't sure it's going to be a speech, it was more of a discussion. Because we're trying to understand how we can enhance and improve Entebbe, not only as a city, but potentially a financial hub. I have also noticed something from which I want to do when I grow up. I've noticed that at Mama Rhoda's table there are two professors. And I've noticed that if you're to be a professor, you must wear a hat. Yesterday at about maybe 4 p.m. I met Professor Kwesiga living Garden City. We just nodded at each other and passed each other. But I knew I was going to see him today. But also a few weeks ago, Professor Balunywa, who says comes from Busoga, my brother-in-law is Robert Kisuvi. We were having a discussion about you. And we were hoping that maybe the powers that be might make some pronouncements in relation to my industry. So it's a very inside joke, Professor, but you know what I'm talking about. So, Equity Bank. We want to thank Entebbe City for inviting Equity Bank. We opened our branch in 2020. 2020 in July. In the middle of the COVID pandemic, Equity Bank decided not to close branches, but to open and be present in Entebbe. Entebbe had been in the plan for a long time. It was a matter of timing, and I had the town clerk mention planning. Yes, all of us were told about the UN base, all of us were told about the opportunities and so on. And we said, is that the reason to go to Entebbe? Our answer was no. We don't see Entebbe, the peninsula of the city, as just a commercial hub for apartments and industry. My topic is about financial inclusion. And inclusion means everybody. Everybody. Equity Bank as an institution has a clear purpose. And our purpose is to transform lives, to give dignity, and to expand opportunities for wealth creation. That's the purpose of the organization. Transform lives, give dignity, and expand opportunities for wealth creation. So when we come to Entebbe, or set foot in Entebbe in terms of branch network, we aim to achieve that purpose. Transform lives, give dignity, and expand opportunities for wealth creation. And our plan is very clear. The vision of the bank is to be the champion of the socio-economic prosperity of the people of Africa. So for us, it's not about banking. It's not about giving loans. It's about transforming lives socially and economically. And we pursue this mission of offering integrated financial solutions and services that empower customers, businesses, and the third aspect is communities. So our target market is customers, individuals, you and me, businesses, like the ones I see around here today, and communities. So in our core values, we are very clear. We are going to use financial services to eradicate poverty. We're going to use financial services to help better planning of cities. We're going to use financial services to address the issue of slums, as I've learned today. How do we ensure that nobody is left behind? So Equity Bank banks everybody. We bank individuals, we bank corporates, we bank micro, we support agriculture, fisheries, we support trade, we support oil and gas, we support transport and logistics, no matter at what level you are. Whether you're new to bank, micro, small, SME, or you're a global corporate, the bank is there to structure and support you. To address the issue of inclusion, Equity Bank, let me use some numbers for you. 2016, when Equity Bank came to Uganda in 2008. We bought Uganda Microfinance Limited. In 2016, Equity Bank was a bank of 25 banks, were about bank number 17, 18, making a profit of about 8 billion shillings. Last year, we made a profit of about 120 billion shillings. What was the difference? How did that change? Because in 2018, we eventually convinced the government to allow something called agency banking. Agency banking means I don't have to open branches everywhere to provide financial solutions. Your regular shop can be an agent. And the whole principle about agency is an acronym we call AIR, A-I-R. The A is access. If people can't find financial services because they've got to walk long distances to go to a physical branch, you won't have financial inclusion. So we said, how can we make the banking services available to you where you go every day? At your duka, at your church, at your mosque, at your school. And thank goodness, the Financial Institutions Act was amended to allow those institutions and businesses to become agents. So access was addressed. Next thing becomes inclusion. Everybody, irrespective of how much money you have, irrespective of what you do for a living, To address inclusion, we said, and I'm sure Professor Kwesi, when he opened his first bank account, he was told to bring letters from the government, letters from other bankers, letters from the village head, and a passport photo of a particular size. You must be able to speak English. You must put on shoes. And the one which I liked, which really perturbed me even when I was opening my first bank account, you must have a water bill or a power bill, so we can know where you live. What did that mean? That meant anybody who doesn't pay his water bill or his power bill can't have a bank account. That guarantees exclusion of over 95% of the Ugandans. Thank goodness, order prevailed. IDs became more popular and available. And Equity Bank said, fine, to open a bank account, no minimum balance. You can open an account with zero money. 2, no monthly bank charges. Because those are things which are barriers to inclusion. Bank charges. No monthly bank charges. Open with zero balance. No monthly bank charges. No minimum balance. You can take your money to zero. And it won't disturb you. Meaning, open an account with Equity, leave 10,000 for 10 years, you'll come back and find 10,000. That was trying to address the issue of people saying, I put my money there and it is being eaten by the bank. Why? Now I will only charge you if you're taking money out of my bank. So when you're transferring money out, there I charge you. When you're drawing from the ATM, you're getting cash, I charge you. But if money is staying in the bank or paying somebody who has an account in the bank, there's no charge. So what's the logic there? You must address the cost of financial services. So inclusion we dealt with. The next step to address inclusion was what we're doing now. Something called *247#. And you'll see an advert of that at some point. What that means now is you dial *247#, and you get a bank. We'll link it to your national ID, open your account. There and then. In Kenya we say hapo hapo. *247#, enter NIN, bank account is a response. Because now at Equity, we say that banking isn't somewhere you go. It is something you do. No need to wake up, take a taxi with no roads, line up in the bank to get your money. *247#, you have access to solutions. That means I can provide financial solutions to somebody deep in the islands. I can provide solution to somebody in Chitoru without having to go to the bank. I've addressed inclusion. And right now, that is the fastest way to open an account. Professor keeps talking about our young population growing at 3.3 to 4%. It's a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is you have a youth population who don't have time to go to banks physically. They spend their time on their phones. So take the bank to them, self-service, and keep it cheap. You'll grow inclusion.
We talk about a child who does not ask the 4 whys, the whens, the whats, the wheres, and the 1H, the how. A child who is not asking the why, when, where, what, how, has not learned. Critical thinking is very important for every child. It's not okay for the teacher to come and write on the chalkboard and ask the students to take notes. It's very important. It's very important that the children ask, why are we doing it? We have all heard and learned a plus b square is equal to a square plus b square plus 2ab. You ask all the teachers How it is so? How do you prove that? They put in some numbers and say that is how we prove it. You ask our children, they will draw you two squares, a square and a b square. And they will draw you a rectangle, and they will draw you a square of a plus b and show you geometrically how a plus b square is a square plus b square plus 2ab. That means they're understanding what they are being taught. Creativity, different projects that we do, collaboration, peer-to-peer learning is one of the things that we emphasize at our schools, because once you learn together, a lot of university graduates, I'm sure our director at Equity, he would give testimony that graduates who come to the bank, they learn more in 2 weeks than they have learned in the entire university, possibly. Yeah, I want to be a bit diplomatic there, but yes, they learn at job much faster than they learn in schools or in colleges. And that happens because here in the banks, in the real work environment, you collaborate, you learn from each other. So why not take those experiences back to the classrooms? So at Dream Africa Schools, we emphasize that not only teaching should be led by the teacher, it should be also led in between the students, and they learn together. We are also teaching our students life skills, being flexible. COVID, the pandemic taught us many things. It taught many things. None of us thought that we shall be at home. At least the school owners never thought that they would be at home for 22 months. But we were home. Now what did we do? What did we do in this period? Can we do something more than physical schooling? We did online learning. We worked a lot on that. We are teaching our children to be flexible, to be able to respond to a changing environment. Some of the learners said, looks like we cannot upload homework. But we made everybody, almost 90% of the students, upload their homework. Leadership. Leadership is ingrained in Ugandan society. Every school does those election for prefects. It's a highly publicized event. At our schools, we talk about leadership in spelling, leadership in reading, leadership in best handwriting, leadership in scientific pitching of ideas. Leadership can come from, it's not only political leadership, it's academic leadership. Where do you put yourself in understanding of knowledge piecemeal? That's what we teach in our schools.
The objective of the project is to develop a modular machining and manufacturing facility that employs state-of-the-art technologies. It's intended to make products in a practical sense that will have an impact on the import bill. I don't think it is really prudent for us to be importing nuts and bolts and everything else. So we must hit the import bill by manufacturing precision machine parts, and then eventually make implements, and eventually make our own machines. Train people in modern, using modern pedagogy. Also, sustainability, Professor Valnya would attest to this. Some things that you build with a grant, sustaining them can be a challenge when the grant runs out. So what I've said in this situation, I've said, look, why should we always tell people how to make things, but we can't make them ourselves? And so the products that will be made there will be sold, and the revenues can sustain the whole effort. So I don't have to depend on the government anymore. And most critically, manufacturing workshops will provide a platform for apprenticeship for technicians and engineers. Reason being, other professions, if you are studying medicine, before they let you touch a patient, you will go through internship. If you are training to a teacher, you have to go through teaching practice. If you are training to be a lawyer, you must go through LDC before they can license you to do this. It's only engineers and technicians who move out of an examination room, and then you are supposed to go and look for a job. So you come with a degree in mechanical engineering, I look at you, I take you to our CNC center, you are lost. Say, why didn't you study history, man? It could have been doubting ourselves. Okay? Just doing the right thing can be done. And so this is in Amave. Quickly, so the project was launched on January 25th, 2018. And 10 days shy of the second anniversary of the launch. Go ahead. That is a work in progress at that time in 2019. And by January 15th, 2020, the president came to commission the place. And those of you who have never seen me in a suit, you can see it now. Continue. Yeah, that's the same day commissioning. That's a special slide for me, because those two girls are my daughters, and they live out of Uganda, but that particular day they happen to be around, and so and that's what the president said about the whole project. Please come and join us.
Imagine if leadership and development was a uniting factor for people towards a certain achievement. When people set aside their political differences and affront a cause that will benefit everyone.
What does omuntu wa wansi see as development in Entebbe?